Welcome to the CatchMark Community Local Musician Spotlight. I'm your host, Amy Yonkman. In each episode, we bring you stories, inspirations, and journeys of the amazing local musicians in our community. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Tommy Foster. He's a local White Lake area guitarist and vocalist. We're going to dive into his journey, his influences, and what keeps him creative on both on and off stage. So let's get started. Thanks for being here, Tommy. I appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
So I'm going to start you out on the spot. I'm going to have you kind of introduce yourself and talk about yourself a little bit.
Okay. With no further prompting?
I mean, if you want it, I can give it to you.
No,
so,
it's fine.
I mean, you know yourself more than anybody, I bet.
That's a good question. Do we really know ourselves? I'm Tommy Foster.
We could really go.
Yeah, let's get philosophical. I'm a local musician. Whitehall. I was born in Lansing, but I spent most of my formative years in the White Lake area. So moved up here in 1975, and I've been playing music for a living since about late 80s, 1989, 1990. In college. So started in college, and my mother is a classical violinist and taught Suzuki violin locally here.
Wow.
So I used to come home from school. I'd walk to school and walk home, and I'd come home and there'd be a bunch of kids squeaking and squawking on the on the violin. So I think the first or second year we moved here, we got a piano from an old church, and so I started taking piano lessons, and that was the beginning of me playing music, and kind of fell in and out of that. I still love to play the piano, but played guitar, picked that up, and after flunking out of community college several times and getting horrible grades in my late teens, I had to take a career assessment evaluation, and it said I should either be a musician or a mortician. So did a big at Lansing Community College, and so I tried music first, tried music theory, and that sparked my interest and held my interest. So I 4-pointed. That was the first thing I 4-pointed because I wasn't bored, I guess.
Yeah.
People say I'm ADHD, and I don't know what that means, but anyway, squirrel. So it's yeah.
We won't get into all that.
Yeah. So that's where I started, and in a nutshell, and have been playing. Started in East Lansing, playing college bars and playing out at the Red Rooster here, and the Corsi's local pub when it was Corsi's, and then playing a variety of. I've played every sort of party and funerals and births and high school graduations and.
You're there through life.
Yeah, and marriages and divorce parties and rent parties and lots of bars and restaurants and now I kind of pick and choose a little bit, but stay busy throughout the summer and that's what I do.
Yeah. So you mentioned the music theory class that kind of really got the spark going, I guess. So what was it about that class that really made it start for you?
I think probably something about the understanding that music is linear as well as emotive, as well as emotional. So kind of on a philosophical tangent, it's both science and emotion. You know? So there's the frequency spectrum of audio waves traveling, and the way that they're connected, and the way that you can connect them and rearrange them is a never-ending. There's a million permutations of that. So I think that was it. Plus, I really enjoyed music, so I grew up being exposed to a lot of varieties of music with in my household growing up, and was encouraged, I think, too locally. There was a lot of local community music stuff, and at least from my position growing up, my childhood, my mom was kind of tuned in and plugged into that stuff, so I got a good dose of that.
Yeah.
And my first piano teacher was Virginia Lundell, who was our church organist.
Yeah.
So and she was, so I would take lessons from her on the piano, the beginner lessons, and then I would watch her play the organ and every Sunday, like at church. So it was really kind of cool. It was.
Have you taken up organ ever? Have you ever played?
I've played the church organ. I've messing around when I'm not supposed to, but and I have an old pump organ at home. But I do play piano and I mess around with synthesizers and stuff, but no, a big pipe organ or any major thing. I'm not at all. I'm not qualified to play any keyboard instrument too much, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah. So guitar is kind of your main instrument.
Primarily, yeah.
So when did that happen? When did you pick that up?
I think when I was 15, I wanted an electric guitar, and my mom refused to buy me an electric guitar. And so I got an acoustic guitar for Christmas. It was a Dixon acoustic, and I think it was probably from Bierman's in Muskegon. And I looked at all the Gibsons and the Stratocasters and the offshoot models of that, and that's what I really wanted. But she just made me play an acoustic. She said I wanted something more organic for you to start with to see if you wanted to hang with it, and I didn't. When I was 15, I learned "Smoke on the Water" on one string and "Iron Man" by Black Sabbath or something like that, and the things that every fledgling rock and roll wannabe learns. And I got frustrated and hung it up because it's so easy to be discouraged and self-critical. And to talk
and
yourself.
You were a teen.
Yeah.
That plays in a little.
Yeah, my brain was. My brain's still not fully formed, but it's closer, I think. So
getting there.
Yeah, so I sold that guitar about a year or two later, and then when I moved away from home around 19, I think after a couple of attempts to move away from home, I finally left home around 19 and I bought a guitar the first day I moved out of town, and then I still struggled through school for a while, but so it took me a while. I didn't learn right away, but I fussed around quite a bit, and I enjoyed it. It just that's the beauty of it, is you don't have to be good to enjoy making noises and experimenting. It's like making mud pies, And the more silly you can be. I have a tendency to try to make silly noises, so that's,
well, whatever. I mean, if it entertains you and makes you feel good, do it.
Yeah, if it's fun. Yeah.
Yep. So, what are some of your musical influences throughout your life? I know, your mother maybe was one with the violin, and then I'm sure there's big names that everybody kind of knows.
Yeah, well, locally, I'll start with the locals first. My mom, obviously, Virginia Lindell. Jerry Bartlett was choir director at Lebanon Lutheran, and he also worked out at Blue Lake, and so we had some connections there, and so I think early on I was steeped in a lot of, and I couldn't quote it now, like. I'm not a wealth of like names and things, but I grew up with a lot of classical stuff, and then some also stuff like Mahalia Jackson and Paul Anka and Roberta Flack and Jim Croce and John Denver and all that stuff, like 60s, 70s stuff. So a variety of styles. And then I think I was influenced through high school by my friend Scott Nesbitt, local guy too. He was kind of a heavy metal guy, so he got me into some more, stuff like Frank Zappa or Van Halen and stuff like that in the 80s when I was in school. So I'm dating myself, and that's fine because I'm an old dude. So, but
wear it with pride.
Yeah. I think as I think back about like posters on my bedroom wall.
Yep.
Like I just listened to rock and roll stuff, whatever. And home services right down the street here. They sold albums, and that's where I worked a paper route when I was 14, and I would, all the money I earned on my paper route would either go to, arcade games or buying albums.
Yeah.
And so the Bells, the Bell family that worked there, they I was always coming in and trying to get the latest Rolling Stones album, or the James Gang or something like just so. Yeah, I used to spend hours just fishing through that. So it was a lot of fun.
I didn't even know they used to do that. That's really cool.
They had racks and racks of records and cassettes, and I had a cassette player that I bought at Home TV.
Yeah.
Which is no longer there. And I would, ride my bike around town and be blasting out whatever I
Yeah.
was listening to at the time. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah, small town stuff.
Yeah.
Really small. But.
So did you ever do, like an instrument in the band in high school at all? Were you interested in doing that, or did you?
In junior high, I started trombone. So I learned to read bass clef and play trombone for a year or two. But I gave up after that. So I didn't do much of the I didn't do anything musically through high school other than to kind of, fart around with, at a party or something.
Yeah.
Like somebody had a
Having
piano,
fun.
I could, play chopsticks or
Yeah.
or Heart and Soul or something like that, or learn the first, little run to Faithfully by Journey or something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. So, yeah, and I hung around with Buddy Pops, who's no longer with us, but he and I were. His dad played in a band called The Reason Why with Don Root, and country and dance band that played like the Eagles. So
Yeah.
had all these. They always had cool PV amplifiers and steel guitars and that was so I got exposed to that a little bit too. And Buddy and I played a lot together later in life. So yeah, I don't know if I just got off track.
Oh,
but,
that's fine. That's kind of what this is. It's just us talking about the music and what you do. So when you're going to go play a show, or when you mentioned all the things you do, funeral, births, marriage, like all the things, when you're going to go out and do that, what's the creative process? Is there a thought that goes into the different shows? Are they all a little bit different? What goes into those, your brain, what's going on in there when you're about to go play?
I think when it depends on the environment, but generally I do what I do, and it's what I've developed over time. And most of the hires that I take are people that are interested in just how I handle myself. I guess that's what I've learned, at least at this point. And by saying that, what I mean is what I've learned is that you give a little bit of what you've picked up along the way that people enjoy, and you also do a little bit of stuff that you like to do. So you expose people to something that you're maybe coming into or learning.
Yeah.
And also being present in each moment and not being off in space. Kind of. So be in the room, be there at the time when the space is occurring. And I've had I think my focus is on managing myself within the context of the space around people, and then watching how people respond and then making adjustments. So sometimes I'm an amenity completely in the background.
Right.
And I don't wear that. I don't wear that with any frustration. It's like, okay, yeah, because then I can pay attention to what I'm doing and do it the best I can. And a lot of times you can psych yourself out, I think, as a musician. You're like, oh, am I doing good enough? Or, oh, I messed that part up. And what is that person thinking about me right now? And it's
don't get in your own head.
Yep. That's the worst place to be. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
If they're having fun, you have fun, and
I think the biggest joy for me, in some ways, or one of the joys is just interacting with kids, because kids are just like all over the place.
Yeah, music, I think, resonates with everybody. I think you mentioned earlier that music theory and just how it can be. I think that's why it works with everybody's different kind of brains that we have. Music does, because there's so many different ways to listen to it. You can listen to so many different kinds. But kids, they can't not move. You see babies and they're just wiggling when music comes on. It's just something we do, and it's like it's ingrained in us, I think. I think it's part of just life. People were probably tapping on stuff from the beginning of time, So.
Yeah.
I think that's, you're always going to make somebody happy with what you're doing. And that's what music does. I don't know of a time when you don't go somewhere, especially when the music's playing, when you're not happy. Unless you're not wanting it to be super loud. But, if you know the environment, if you're into Fetch and there's music playing, it's going to be loud, So you should know. On that, have you had any challenges or any rewards throughout all of your time playing? You started, you played a lot of different small towns, all sorts of places around here, Lansing. Any big challenges or big rewards that you remember?
I think the challenge is always just adapting and being and working on your presence in each situation, and working on keeping a clear calendar and schedule. I mean, if my grandfather had a sixth grade education and did a lot, was a jack of all trades, and good at a lot of things, but he always said, if you can find a profession where people call on you. And I kind of I had there was work at the beginning, but I think some of the early success was with Buddy and I. We had a shtick, we had a humor, and we weren't very good musically. We were okay. Buddy was a seasoned singer and player and had a routine, and I just was along for the ride.
Yeah, I'm sure you learned a lot.
I learned a ton. Yeah, and so that was a good way to do it. And then slowly over time, you build a rapport with your audience. You build a rapport with the people you work with, and you kind of, I think without being cliche, you build your network of people that communicate, and people come and people go, and some people drift away, or sometimes the fit is not right. That's a challenge if you're in a spot where it's awkward. But I think now at this point I'm kind of okay. Well, this is what I can do.
Yep. Yeah, it comes in with that life experience you get as you get older. Right?
Yeah, I've become a little grumpier, but still not outwardly, and a little more curmudgeonly, but also just comfortable in my own skin.
Yep.
I think, and that's what's important. I think the idea that if you're stressed, people pick up on your stress. So performance is a way of or being in a situation where you're performing is a way of working on managing yourself.
Yeah.
Your own anxiety. How do you manage your own stuff? So.
Yeah, well, I think you're helping people through that as well. When you're playing, you don't know what that audience is going through at the time when you're playing, and so a lot of times, music will just spark something. Those words or a certain song really brings back either, good, bad, beautiful, whatever those memories are for somebody. And a lot of you can leave, and they're going to remember your performance because of that thing that you sparked in them.
Yeah.
Brought something back.
Yeah, and you learn over time, I think, to perform the things that you like to perform, and you get that's more appreciative.
Yeah,
people, because it's more genuine. You're not just kind of schlepping through the what you think you got to do to I mean, sometimes you're selling beer, or sometimes you're whatever, or you're if you're in a bar or something, but and that's part of it, but. Yeah, but still having a sense of who you are, your own presence, and being in the room, not being somewhere else. And music, going back to what you were talking about earlier, the music is a way too of expressing an emotion in a way that words don't quite do. So I think that's a thing to remember when you're doing that, is that it's important. It's important for you to do something in a way that expresses a feeling in a way that you can't do with words. And it's helpful for people too. So
it really is.
Yeah.
So going off of music a little bit, outside of music, what does Tommy like to do when he's not playing?
Well, I like a lot of stuff. I think I enjoy still playing outside of music. So I fuss around at home. And I experiment with computers and software and software. I experiment with musical instruments, and I have a couple German Shepherds I've been raising, not raising, but I've gone through. I'm on number 4, number 5 now, so I like dogs, and I'm out in the woods a little bit, so I enjoy just planting trees and doing a little bit of growing of vegetables and stuff. I don't grow anything, of nefarious natures or semi-legal natures. Nothing like that, but not my cup of tea. But vegetables and stuff, and I've been taking care of a family member now for a while too. So those combined with whatever
Yeah.
but years
Fills
of
the schedule. Huh?
yeah years of being a water fan here in White Lake area and windsurfing and boating and fishing and I like everything. I think within the context of
Yeah.
if it's good, it's healthy, it's positive, and it's not hurting somebody else. It's generally a pretty good thing to do. I worked for a couple years at the White Lake Community Library as a youth program coordinator, and that was a ton of fun because these kids are just awesome.
Yeah.
They're so much fun, and they're such a great point in their life where their brains are on fire and they're just picking up all sorts of stuff. So that was I had to leave that position, but I'm happy to plug in once in a while when I can and do a little bit of musical interaction and stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we're blessed with great libraries in this area.
Yeah.
I've always brought my kids are older now, so they're not too much into those library times now. But I appreciate it when they were around. When we would always go every week to as many as we could.
When we grew up here, my mom and dad would take us to the Montague Library, which is where down where is it? The little shops, the Busy Bee Cafe now, I think, or the
Kind of by the on Ferry over there by the book.
right across from the Dog and Suds, kind of that little building there by the marina.
Yep.
So it was like Tommy's Sportswear or something, no relation to
Yeah,
me,
none. Yep.
and it's a couple other things, but that used to be Montague City Hall and the
okay.
library in the 70s. And we would go there every week. And I don't know if you remember Henry Rossler, former mayor, and his wife Velma. They've both passed now, but she was the head librarian. So and then I'd see her in church every week too. So and she'd remind me, bring your books back. But yeah, the old Dewey Decimal Card system and all.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit different now, isn't it?
Yeah, but I pulled out books. I took books out every week and just read all sorts of stuff.
No, it's great now. You can do it all online. I always get them on my Kindle and do the Libby app. And but the libraries
Libby
work
and
with that.
Hoopla and all that stuff. Yeah.
It's great. So appreciate your time there.
Yeah.
So you said you garden. What is your favorite vegetable to grow?
This year we did with the help of a friend. I did some garden boxes with my mom. And we did a lot of tomatoes and squash. We got some patty pan squash and some zucchini, and a lot of pole beans. And we planted everything really late, so they're all like everything's coming out right now. Yeah,
you're a little busy.
Yep, no, it's fun. It's not too much, but and when my dad was still alive, he grew pumpkins and corn and potatoes and sunflowers. So. We didn't do any of that planting this year, but still have tons and tons of seeds, and I don't know if they'll go, but I'm trying to
always worth
get
trying
into
them
it
again.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's really delightful to.
It is. It's very
to
relaxing.
Eat your own food.
Yeah. It's really fun. I took this year off, but was looking at it yesterday. Actually, like I got to get this cleaned up, get ready for next year. So. You can hold me accountable.
Yeah, all right. You start the seeds in November or in January, and you're.
Yep. Yeah, we started them.
I'll check up on you.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to call you. And see,
I'll see what you're growing too.
Yeah, all right.
And trade seeds.
Fair. The library, by the way, has a seed library.
Yeah, I saw that.
At White Lake.
That's really.
So you can.
They do it all now. They really do.
It's really cool.
It's not just about books, guys.
Yeah, there's all sorts of good community interactions there.
So going back to music, our local music scene here in White Lake, you've been around for a little while. What are your thoughts on it? I think it's really special. I think we have, kind of a core group that you can always kind of see around. We have a lot of people that volunteer their time that are musicians, to help, aspiring musicians, teaching people how to play. So what are your thoughts on our local White Lake music scene?
I think you have a diverse array of styles and talents and some really uber talented people.
Yeah.
And also a lot of people that are learning. And I think that's like every community, every small community should be. I think arts and music have to coexist in a strong community with commerce and commercial stuff.
Yes.
Though the art side of it is, if it's gone, it's really rough. I think so. And I would say that based on my mom's experience as a proponent of the arts, and she was, I'll go back, and she was an arts consultant for the ISD in Muskegon.
Oh, okay.
For many of her years, and she was one of the people beginning the Arts Council of White Lake back, when they started in the '80s. So,
Oh, wow.
and has always been a strong advocate. So I think, so in relation to the music aspect of it, that's a key component, and I think the theater as well is good. And it's a great place to hear music, and to hear people who are really good at what they do.
Yeah.
Especially people that come from out of town. So it's like you can bring the world to the little doorsteps that we have here.
Yeah.
Walk the Beat is another one that's been added the last few years, and that's been really positive and strong. And amongst other things, there's local bar bands and stuff. And there's just all sorts of cool talent, and there's people that are just do it on the weekends, and there's people that study it all the time. So there's a diverse array, and you can always hear something interesting. So.
Yeah, you can. I mean, we offer. I mean, there's open mic nights offered a lot of places. So that's you think of those beginners that are really trying to get out there.
That's how I learned.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, how else are you going to do it? Really,
Absolutely.
You got to get comfortable in front of people and kind of hone on your craft, and I think it's great that we have that to do that. We live in a very small area, but there's so much available here. Like you said, the Playhouse and just the different venues we have. We're very lucky here.
Yeah, all of those factors peppered in with the other aspects of, we've got some good industrial type work, and some shifts in housing, and just all of the different the array of opportunities that exist in here, and music and art is one of the components that I think it helps keep that stabilized in a way that is healthy.
Yes.
As a way for people to blow off steam in some ways. I think a way to relax.
Yeah, because you have to do that too.
Yep, absolutely.
So going off of that, we're kind of talking about those opportunities, the things that we do have. What's your advice for aspiring musicians, or somebody that wants to kind of be in your shoes, or something similar around the area?
My advice. It won't come as parental advice.
That's all right.
Yeah, I would say stay curious. How do you keep to me, it's keep a childhood sense of wonder, sort of, so to speak. Like, oh, okay, I get it now. Or stay curious, stay interested, and ask questions. Ask people.
Yeah.
And try. And if you fail, try again. And if you fail, try again.
Yep.
And if you fail, try again, because that's all we do is,
Yep.
I was so frustrated in my youth, I think, because I wanted to be like the cool guys in town that could play, the Eddie Van Halen lick or something like that. And I wanted it immediately. And
Yep.
It's not that,
Well, you
that easy.
look at them, and they're just doing it. And
But
you think that
they
just
learned
comes
it
overnight,
yeah,
and it doesn't.
No, and they learned it. They learned it,
Yep.
in their own way. So there are many ways to learn things. So find the way that suits you best.
Yeah.
Find the people that support you, but that's not the only tried and true way. I mean, a lot of people come from painful circumstances, and it inspires them in a different way. So your art can be an expression of your emotion, your upbringing, or your experience. But if you want to do it, find a way to make it happen.
I think that's great advice.
Best I can do.
It's a great answer.
I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know if there is one, but I think if everybody does it and everybody's listening, it was great advice. So looking ahead towards the end of this year, do you have anything on the docket? Are you looking forward to anything coming next year?
I enjoy, this year we had a turn. I've been playing at Fetch on Mondays from Memorial Day to Labor Day on Monday nights in this community. And I thought a couple years ago, it would be fun to see if that would fly. because music on a Monday night in a small town is like, well, that's kind of rare.
Yeah.
And so this was year 4, and this year, with the help of the city, we had the opportunity to, on a trial basis, to close down the 1 block section over here.
Yeah.
And that, I think that sparked an interest, like it was a rejuvenating spark here, because it's kind of fun to, for people that are, part of our summer economy here, they want something to do all the time, and it's still a good way to commune with the local community and my experience this summer. So I'm looking forward to it next year to see if we can do that.
It looked like it did great this summer.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, as far as I can tell, there was it was a good. Just good energy all the way around, and there's an opportunity to commune with food and libation or not. It was not we're not like heavily promoting drinking or anything like that. It's a place where you can come have a beer if you want, or you can have a soda, and you can get a meal, and you can bring a meal from home. Bring a picnic basket, and hear music. And I was able to. I had the good fortune to be able to coordinate a variety of musicians from various. So I had some people come from out of town, and I had a variety of people come in and out, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun.
We're going to do it again, guys.
I just leaned into the mic and spoke a little softer. But.
I think that's great. That's a great thing to look ahead to next year, because it did do so well this year. The restaurants around this area kind of promoting it a little bit. I saw, they want you to just get out there, and I think that street closure really did help the event. There were people bringing chairs and blankets and all sorts.
People
of stuff.
Roller skating and
bikes were around. People are just walking around.
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing. It's a really good thing to look
Loki,
ahead.
I don't want anybody to know about it. I mean, we just don't tell anybody.
It's a group.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to know.
Anything before we kind of end this podcast that you want to talk about yourself that we missed?
I'm grateful that you guys are interviewing people locally, and it gives people a sense of who's around that they may not have had a chance to see, and also who else is I don't know, how do you keep an interest going and encourage people to encourage musicians too to work on what they're doing and look for opportunities to try stuff. So
that's our hope.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Tommy. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you more in your musical journey. Stay tuned for more episodes and inspiring stories from our local musicians here in the White Lake area. As always, keep supporting our local musicians. I'm Amy Youngman with CatchMark Technologies. This has been the Local Musician Spotlight. See you next time.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.